Pronounced good afternoon and welcome back to the Manager's Seat. Today we're back for episode number 2 of the Austria Revival, where we're taking Austria Salzburg to the pinnacle of Austrian football and European football and destroying the corporate giants in the process. If you missed episode number 1, you can catch that here, but for now, let's jump into episode number 2. And today's episode is going to be stacked, full of tips and tricks. I've fixed a few things in the club, a few things have fallen off a cliff, and we're going to do some serious preparation work for the mid-season break. So let's start off with how form has been since we finished with that loss against Liefering in the last game. And the first game was up against a fellow struggling team in SKN St. Polten, and we went down to some brilliant defending, as you can see, in the 23rd minute, 1-0 down to Elijah Just, and we did change the formation ever so slightly. I went with a tactic that had worked for me previously. This one didn't work. Again, limitations with the squad. You'll notice a trend here with the formations. We were on par with the team. We created a few chances. XG, this is what I'm looking at, what we actually created on that pitch, and it's been so low. We didn't score, we went down against them, but we move on. And move on we did against SV Reed, who are, to be fair, a good team in the league. They got beautiful kits, but look at that for a goal. Van Wijk ran from his own half and just strolled through our defence. There are glaring holes in this team, even there. The ball's in behind. Defensively, it's just not working. And we went for the 3-4-3, if you will. We went back to that formation. Still isn't working. We've tried so many different tactics. I'm playing with roles just to see if any stick. Like Zaya potentially could be a good regista. I know, like, what are you thinking? Why would he be a regista? But his stats are okay in that area, and I want to kind of try it out. We are still playing around at the moment. Nothing is stuck, at least at not this stage. And also at this stage, we went up against SV Horn. We played at home in this game, and good team, to be fair. They went 1-0 up in the 44th minute, just inside the first half. And then just after the second half whistle, they went 2-0 up. Our keeper, who is one of our better players, I should add, made that mistake. 2-0 up, 69th minute, they made it 3-0. Coco on the wing, cutting inside, and look at that, another long shot coming in. We dropped the defensive line at this point to try and stop goals from behind, and they just smash it through long. And 91st minute, the consolation goal. In the cup competitions that I was hoping to have a good run in, well, that didn't happen. Lafnitz, who are once again a poor team, they went 1-0 up just inside the second half. Lots of goals in this game, and at one stage I thought we're going to do okay. We came forward here, lovely play by Gonjvar, smashed it past the keeper, 1-1, and we were playing half decent. Sadly, we go into extra time, and literally the 101st minute, Leopold comes in, makes it 2-1. And we tweak, and we come forward. Capacha, who is some news about him shortly, gives it in. Dorfmeyer makes it 2-2 in the 102nd, and then our legs just fall apart. We're knackered. We're out on our feet at the moment. Defend it. Look how condensed we are. There's like 10 players in a 6-meter radius. Ball comes over the top. We just don't have the pace to keep up. Just inside the last minute of the game, they make it 4-2, and that's us out of the cup competition. So the next 2 games came in, and I did have a little bit of a gypsy's warning from the boss. And thank our lucky stars, the team we lost to in the cup, we beat in the league. We've had 2 1-0 wins on the bounce. The first one was our 800th formation of the season, the 75th minute. We were peppering them, but look at that, outside of the foot from Gvodjar. I shut up shop immediately. They're not a great team. The fact we've gone away to them and won, I'm happy. And some decent defensive performances, which, if you look at the bottom corner, you can see the role has changed. And that defensive midfielder in front of the back 3, even though he didn't do that well, I think it allowed the defenders a little bit more confidence to perform. We followed that up with obviously another win, and that was against Stripfing, and a penalty in the 71st minute was enough to once again get another clean sheet. And we did have some decent ratings defensively once again, which meant that we got 2 clean sheets on the bounce, which I think that is literally the first time we've done that this season, and that takes us into the mid-season break. So you might think after those losses we're in the relegation zone, but thank our lucky stars, there are some terrible teams in this league. Lafnitz, who we've played 300 times already, are one of those. We have crept out with those 2 late scraped victories. 6 points has literally pulled us into a position which I'll take at the end of the season. Give me that all day long for this season. It is a long process to get this club back where it belongs. So we find ourselves in 13th. In terms of the club vision and club information, we're a B- from the board and a B- from the supporters, which, to be fair, is good. They're even pleased that we are attempting to avoid relegation. With all those losses, and like, this form is disgusting. The fact that we haven't really been sacked is beyond me. It just shows the level of expectation around this club. 2 wins, fantastic. And if you remember in the last episode, we had some serious issues with player dynamics, or team dynamics, I should say. And I've listened to your comments, and there's been some brilliant suggestions. So thank you so much for that to start with. And I've taken a lot on board. And I tell you, there's 2 things that have worked incredibly well. Well, one I know has worked. The second, I don't know. It may have some factor. The first one then is going to be training. For those training ratings for the individuals, they're not going to appear now because they're on holidays, but I have been religious. And a few of you did mention in the comments about that. Praise the good rating, but also, strangely enough, if they don't perform, criticize them. And they almost see it as like a double negative, and they do turn around and do quite well. So that has definitely had an impact on the team cohesion and the club atmosphere. There are a lot of down thumbs here, but if you remember, it was down here, it was in the red. They were all very much in the red, so I'm quite happy with how that is going. Now, the second area which we've done, and I don't know if this is something that has affected it, but I've set up mentoring, and I've done it in the way that is focusing on our key players. So the likes of Gia, Joti, Gvoja, those players who are very influential, I've given them a bit of responsibility in the sense that they are leading mentoring groups. Jalma is a name you won't recognise. We'll touch upon him shortly. But maybe, just maybe, that these 3 boys now, and if you look at the team dynamics and the hierarchy, are the bigger players in there. I do wonder maybe they're the ones who are steering the mood below them. Comments down below. Does that work for you? Do you use mentoring to improve team dynamics from a hierarchical perspective? Now, before we jump into transfers properly, there is one player who has come in, and if you go to transfer history, you will see that Jalma is that man. The 1st of January, we're in the 9th of January now. He has come on board as a 36-year-old man. This is a real player, but doesn't that look like a new gen face? His skin complexion, I've seen nothing like it before in my life. Very good player for us. I do worry that we're not going to see a lot of him. He's 36, he's a veteran winger, which those 2 words don't go together too well, do they? And we're not going to play for a few months, so I do worry that by the time the first game comes around, his hips and back will seize up. So potentially, where we are as a club right now, we're coming into the half-season point, and we're at that tipping point, aren't we? Things have been terrible. 2 wins on the bounce has put me in a position of optimism where we can maybe survive. But there's a lot of work to be done. We've got no money, but we do need to recruit some better players for a little bit of a push at the latter end of the season to suit a tactic that's going to save us. So together, I'm going to show you what I do to prepare for a mid-season or end-of-season rebuild, if you will. I'm doing it in a smart way, so let's jump into a few areas. And all that starts in the squad planner. You want to come up here, go to report, and go to comparison. This is a lovely way to see how you factor against your respective league, the Admira 2 League in our instance. And you've got all these different areas up in general, all positions, blah, 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 blah. So for us, we're going to highlight some weaknesses. So goalkeepers, for example, we have strangely enough got the best agility in the entire league, but we also have the worst throw-in in the entire league and 1v1s. It doesn't really highlight anything of vast improvement. If anything, our goalkeeper is one of our strong positions on the pitch. I'll take this for now. Our keeper is decent. There's nothing we need to improve with him, but we can move on to the defence to see if there's any glaring areas here, which immediately there is. Jumping of 8.7 is by far the lowest, and strength as well. And I suppose if you couple those with the fact that our centre-backs at 6 foot, and 6'2" are not the tallest defenders in the league at all. So these do tell me we need some height in our defence. It's nice to see that we make up, more than make up in fact, in marking, tackling and heading, the 3 key areas that we are very good at. Now, there are areas such as pace and accelerations where we do fall short, but I'm okay with that. We're kind of in the region of being decent, and if anything, 11th is above our station. We'll take that one. So for us, it's looking at height that we certainly need to improve. So that's going to be our first note we're making on my list. In fact, I've noticed now that these are all ticks, so I've removed those, and to be fair, it's pretty much exactly the same looking at the defensive stats. So we're looking at strength, jumping, and positioning as well. Potentially that could be something of improvement. So we're going to go searching for some defensive players that tick those boxes. Right, let's move up into the midfield, which is once again an area that I feel we need improvement. We've got some aged legs there, and wow. I didn't expect this, but we are very poor in the centre of midfield, aren't we? Incredible for decision making, which as a tool for the way we play isn't necessarily the most important, which is good though. Technically we're good. Long shots we're okay, but if you look at passing, vision, stamina, teamwork, tackling, dreadful. Wow. Okay, I've learned a lot just from this one page, and I do wonder if I look at the technical side of our game, we're going to fall short as well for the midfield. And indeed we do. There's some areas that we're good at, finishing, some of the attacking areas, but when it comes to passing, marking, heading, these technicals cover all sort of your strikers, your defenders, and your midfielders. But the ones that are important for midfielders, particularly for passing, that is terrible, isn't it? So once again, that is going on the list. So for the midfielders, we're looking at passing, vision, stamina, teamwork, and tackling as secondary things. But for me, vision and passing are huge areas we need to improve. Now up front, my gut feeling is we're okay, but I've been shocked already, and it's okay to be fair. Finishing, wow, we're the best finishers in the entire league. That is very surprising, as well as heading. So up top, we've got players there that can do the work of putting the ball in the back of the net. We just don't have the creativity behind them to do anything. So I do wonder if we can look at jumping. Once again, that across the board has been terrible across the team, and off the ball is low as well, interestingly enough. And pace, we are a slow team. But the way we play, I'm kind of happy the way this is. For me, the biggest one that should be improved here is anticipation. To match in with the finishing and heading, I want my strikers to anticipate where the ball is going, so they're in the right area to use these abilities. The rest I can live with. So strikers, I'm okay, to be fair. Wow, there's no surprise where we are when you look at this. And I'd urge you all to take a look at this area just to see where your team sits in the average. Because for me now, I individually look at players and think where we need to improve, but I don't know from an attribute perspective where to hone in on. Technically, we're okay in certain areas, and particularly up front, crossing, dribbling, finishing, all very good indeed. It's where we come down to the nitty gritty of the centre of the park. Your marking, passing, tackling even. There's some big areas that we need to improve there. So that's the first step of this mid-season rebuild, if you will. Now, you can use this process in the January transfer window, the summer transfer window, just to highlight areas of improvement. And then what I'll show you next is how you can put that into effect. So let's jump into part 2. So this save, we are doing very much as realistic as possible. All the players I buy come through the scouting recommendations. I'm the manager, the scouting team will go forth, find me players, and if they're any good, I will sign them. So all these searches we've got work well, and we'll keep them. But what we're going to do is add a few more recruitment focuses in here, which will hopefully suit some of the players we're looking for. So we'll come up to recruitment focus and create a new one. Now in this tactic, which we're going to keep in terms of a shape, because I don't mind it at the moment. And to be fair, it ticks all the positions we need anyway. Defensive midfielders, we're looking to improve. And for this area, there's a few key attributes that I need. So we'll keep it nice and easy. I'm not going to go too high in terms of ability, even 3-star, which would give us a good rating for the senior team, which is all I want. I'm not going to be too hung up by the star rating for these players. And I think that that's a good thing for you all to take on board. It's more of how that player is performing. It's going to be a top priority for us because we're in this window and it is time sensitive. Area we're going to look at are further details coming to add, and there's loads of things here where you can cater the individual you want in that central midfield spot. Now, if you remember, our areas are passing, vision, stamina, technical ability, and tackling. They are the areas that we need to improve. Now, we can't choose attributes, and I do kind of like that because you can search for that within the scouting search area. For us, it's more looking within different stats and how that player is performing. So for example, if we were to come into the attacking area, we can look at the pass completion, key passes, areas that I want to be half decent for this defensive midfielder to show that he's actually doing good on the pitch. So pass completion would tell me he's a good passer. Key passes and key passes 90 minutes, that incorporates a lot more, which could be vision, it could be passing, and I kind of prefer that one, to be fair. So we're going to look at key passes that they're going to make maybe for 90 minutes then, and I'll go away and add a few more in here, then I'll explain them just afterwards. And these are the 3 areas I'm going to go for. Key passes per 90 minutes is a high statistical performance, which I quite like. It's not looking at a specific figure, it's looking at based on your team. Same for pass completion, and then same for average rating. So this player is performing to a decent standard, he's got good pass completion, and he's got decent amount of key passes in those 90 minutes. Now for a defensive midfielder or a midfield position, I'm happy with that one. So we're going to change this one to midfield improvement. Okay, so on to the second area, which is going to be defensive improvement. So let's get that one named as centre backs, which we definitely need. Once again, 3-star transfer loan. We'll leave the age. We can't do top this time. It's greyed out because they're busy with other tasks, which is a curveball, to be fair. And once again, we'll go into further details to add the specifics we're looking for that role. And if you remember, for defenders, it was jumping, positioning, and strength. Physical, tall beasts. So I'll add the areas in as before, and I'll explain why. And for this one, I'm keeping it quite simple, just so I've got a bit of a wider net to cast. 6'2" is the minimum height we want. Ideally a bit taller, but I'll take that one. If you remember, our 3 central midfielders are 6 foot, 6 foot, and 6'2", so that'll be an improvement. And I just want a high statistical performance in headers 1 ratio. So that means that they're winning most of their headers, which tells me that for jumping, positioning, and strength, they're in the right place, they're jumping well, and they've got the strength to win that header. All those almost encompass within that area. So we'll keep it nice and simple and hit confirm. So I've now got my areas of improvement for the window between now and the 23rd of February, which is near enough 2 months, 6 weeks if you will, for us to get some players in. And that's the next part of the work done. We've highlighted our areas of weakness. We've gone out to set the scouts to find players to hopefully tick those areas of weakness. So let's shoot forward a few weeks now and see if they found any. Fingers crossed. Okay, we're getting towards the end of January. If you don't know, the 1st of Feb is going to be the deadline day. And I'm getting a bit concerned because our scouts have found nobody. Defensive improvement, nothing's there to write home about. Midfield, once again, the same. Wonder Kids, there's a few there, and the first team players, there are none. But then what they're actually going out and doing is finding lots of cracking players, and these are coming through intermediaries. So I don't even know if my staff are the ones finding them. There are some brilliant players here. Guerrier is one of those. As a 34-year-old wingback, I think is incredible. I don't think we'll be able to sign him in the slightest. He wants to be a star player. So let's try it. I don't think we've got the money to afford this kid at all. 650 we can give you. No, do you know what? We don't need to improve that position. I'm getting a sidebar now. Forget about him. But I can see one player. And you might remember this guy, Claudia Jacob, who was a nasty player for West Brom in the Prem, I want to say. Yes, and Forest. He could bring some steel and determination to the centre of our midfield. Definitely. But once again, I've got zero chance of being able to afford him or not. 575? 650. Okay. Well, if I can bring this guy in, okay, I'll give you 650. I'll take that one. So if you remember, for the centre of midfield, pass in, 14. Vision, 13. Good start. Stamina, let's not talk about that one. Technique and tackling, 11 and 14. We've ticked a lot of great areas here with Claudia Jacob. I'm happy with that one if he comes in, because no doubt other players will and clubs will also. The best centre-back currently on offer is going to be Stopira, who is great, like really, really good. The best centre-back we'd have, but 6 foot just concerns me a bit. So we'll give it a few more days and we'll see if we're going to jump back into that one. So the first bit of brilliant news, we've brought in Claudia Jacob, and immediately is the best player at our club. Like, very, very good indeed. Playing that defensive midfielder role, class. I'm really happy we brought him in. So let's accept that one. Welcome to the club, Claudio. And with a few days out of the transfer deadline day, you can see nothing much is still happening for defensive improvement and midfield improvement. we have looked at one more player that we're potentially bringing in, and this is Josip Esquinia. Came in through, once again, an intermediary, which is a valid way to find players, to be fair. As that central midfielder slot, where passing and vision are quite low, we've got 2 double figures, which doesn't sound good, but for this level, it is good. We've got double figures here, but the mentals and the physicals, all doubles here. He's actually a really good player, and we're going to be paying a bit of money for him. We've got a transfer kitty that we can use, and maybe with the physical legs alongside Claudio, and at 25 years old, he's a child. I'm quite happy with this one, but we're at contract stage. We might not get him. And good news, Josip has joined the club. We've got him over the line. 2 key players in key areas we needed to improve. The central midfield have come in this window, and I'm really happy with that. Could push us on this season. But that's going to be in next week's episode. Today has been this whirlwind of getting everything ready for the final push for the second half of the season. Oh, one more thing I got to show you. And it's in the development centre. Youth candidates, they've not come through yet, but we've had our preview, and it is potentially a golden generation. We probably get that too often in Football Manager, but if you're looking at the areas where I want to improve fullback, striker, centre midfielders, they are decent. So that is definitely it for this week's video. Thank you as always for watching. Back next Sunday for the second half of the season push with those new players. Comment down below for any tactical tweaks. I've got time now to embed them into something, see those new players. How do we fit those in? Do we go for a 3-man midfield? Do we go for a diamond? Comments down below, and I'll catch you next week. Thanks a lot. Bye.